where we drink, smoke, and bullshit about the life of a historic criminal. Now we're talking outlaws and gangsters. We're not going to cover too many serial killers. That's just a little bit dark for me, and this ain't no true crime podcast. Honestly, you can't call this a history podcast because I'm no historian. I'm just a history fan that does some research and bullshits about it with his friends. So speaking of my friends, let me introduce you to my co-host. So first with us today, we got JBone.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
Then also with us today, we got Tone.
What up?
On the fourth mic today, we got Lorraine Mclain.
Hello.
Oh.
Hello.
All right, welcome to the podcast, everyone.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, sir.
So, JBone, I guess we'll kick it off with you because you actually have something I've never seen in my life, which is pretty tough to do. So,
Yeah.
Doesn't
When
look
we
like it's
go
from around
Japanese, it's kind of been on the show a few times. It's usually the classic Sapporo, but this is called Asai, is the proper Japanese pronunciation. It's supercharged, super dry, and canned in Japan. It's not like a Corona, like made in
right where we call it Mexican and it's fucking bottled in North
Concord,
Dakota.
fucking, yeah, like...
I
yeah.
like that he said that that's the proper Japanese pronunciation. He has no clue. We were sitting here.
I
with
swear
him.
to... No! On all that's Bushido, son. Like... I was captain of my Kaizen team. Like, that is the exact pronunciation.
It's huge.
That's what she said.
She did say that. I heard her.
All right, Tone, what do you got to drink today?
Dragon's Milk White.
Nice.
It's a bourbon barrel aged. It's a white stout, 6%. Very tasty. You ever had one of these?
So we did. We went out to watch my son play football this year, and we were out in Grand Rapids, and we went to the New Holland Brewery, and they have literally a Dragon's Milk menu.
Oh,
Where they have so many different variants of it,
okay.
and
So many variants.
but yeah, definitely a fan. What do you think?
I like it a lot. It's real good.
Lorraine Mclain, she's actually we'll get into what she's drinking, but she's actually drinking it out of a New Holland glass.
I have Godiva white chocolate on ice.
See, but that matches with your Dragon's Milk White.
Right.
Yeah.
Fucking white Godiva, Dragon's Milk White.
You guys went creamy, I went samurai.
wanna make
That
some?
brings us to you. What do you got over there?
So I went with the Founders, and this is one I've never had. So it's called Fruitwood, but it's the fruits it's F-R-O-O-T, Fruitwood. So it's a cherry ale, but it's part of their bourbon barrel series.
Yeah.
So it's a cherry ale soaked in maple bourbon barrels.
Mm-hmm.
It's a limited edition beer.
Hmm.
It's really fucking good. It's an 8%er.
See, another first. I thought, like you said, it's limited edition, but I'd never even seen that Founders. And I obviously frequent, like everybody on the show, like all the team frequents the Founders section.
And I believe it's I looked really hard to try and find it, and I couldn't find what kind of cherries, but like in their Charisse and most of the other ones, they use Michigan tart cherries.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna assume
That
that it's
chocolate
Michigan.
covered cherry one too, isn't that by
Yeah.
them with Michigan
yeah.
tart cherries?
Yeah.
Traverse City Boys.
But yeah, so if you look at the art on it, that's one of the things I definitely wanted to.
Yeah, I like the tree. It almost looks like Yggdrasil, like the tree of life with the roots, and then
Oh, that's why it's
'cause I'm looking
fruit.
at the big tree right there, and that looks very Norse, like the tree of life.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the art on that because it's kind of simple, but it's fairly dope too.
It is a dope. That would be like a hat or a T-shirt I would wear.
Support for Say Hello to the Bad Guy is brought to you by Manscaped, who's the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. So Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. They just launched their fourth-generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. So join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped. We are among the first people to try the 4.0. It's next level. It's got ceramic blades, so they're high performance. It's got 4000K LED spotlight, which you can turn it on or off.
Light 'em up, light 'em up.
And it's also got a multi-function on and off switch that can engage a travel lock. But one thing I wanted to mention, because we talk a lot about the 4.0, and it is their flagship product, but they got all kinds of other stuff too. So, and it all helps the podcast. So they have lip balm, they have body wash, they have shampoo, Like, you name it, they have it. So you can go through and check any of their products. You guys got the 4.0 performance kit. What did you guys think?
That shit's great, man.
Yeah, but last pair of clippers I'll ever need.
So get 20% off and free shipping with the code BadGuyPodcast at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use the code BADGUY. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped.
So that's cool. If they already have the old shaver, they could buy lip balm and use the bad guy code and still help the podcast.
So that
Exactly.
applies to everything. Then?
That's sweet.
Yeah, any product at all. Well, and if you're using the stuff, they have like the crop preserver, the crop reviver, the ball deodorant, that kind of stuff. And
Foot deodorant,
foot
whole
deodorant.
variety of like
Nice.
just general health hygiene stuff that you don't think about.
they got traditional regular razors, a one blade,
Yeah.
style razor, and everything is high quality. So if you just want a traditional style razor for your face, it's called the Plow. They have those, but everything is high quality.
I gotta try that foot powder. I mean, my balls smell great after 12 hours of work now.
How do you
my
know?
feet fucking need something.
How do you know?
Positive feedback.
Ask my wife.
5-star reviews.
So is it weird to buy your brother ball shaving stuff?
Why not?
Well, I discussed this with Tank. I think we're going to normalize men supporting other men in
Yeah.
their fucking hygiene, man.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped. 20% off and free shipping worldwide with the code BADGUY at manscaped.com. And then also, before we get started, I got to make sure I take the time to thank Sixfo Sueno for letting us use his music in the intro. I got to thank Cancer for letting us use his music in the mid-roll. You can follow them both on Instagram. It's Sixfo Sueno. Fo is F-O-E. And then it's Cancer the God. The E is a 3. And then if you're having any hard time finding any of those, you can go to the website, badguypodcast.com, and click through there. You can also follow us on TikTok and Instagram at Bad Guy Podcast, and then Twitter at the Bad Guy Pod. And if you want to send us an email, because it turns out I haven't given out the email in a long time, the email is sayhellotobadguypodcast@gmail.com.
Are you on YouTube?
Oh, yeah. So we are on YouTube now, and we are trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. It's important to us. But yeah, go subscribe to the YouTube. So a lot of people listen to it already through the podcast players, but we've been hearing from the beginning to go to YouTube, and some people just watch through YouTube. So you could still, you can't watch it. It's not any video or anything, but you can go listen to the episode. So go subscribe to the YouTube, and you can listen to there too.
Yeah, just put it on your TV and your whole family can listen.
Yeah.
Whoop.
This is family fun for the, in case your whole family wants to hear about fucking smooth balls.
Gather around by the fireplace, listen to a Minty Ball Yuletide story, and
Bring in a Christmas.
Which president was that? The fireside chats?
yeah, Roosevelt, I believe.
Yeah, I think it was FDR.
Teddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think it was FDR.
Oh yeah, Franklin.
Because the Great Depression. So we'll go ahead and get started. And the bad guy we're covering today is Rafael Lopez.
This ain't negotiation time. This is Scarface, final scene, fucking bazookas under each arm. Say hello to my little friend.
I went to school with this guy.
Southwest Detroit.
See.
All right. Rafael Lopez, a.k.a. Red.
Red.
And I'll just let you guys know up front, if you guys are going to wait at some point for me to explain, like the explanation behind the nickname Red, I
There's
don't
none?
have one. So
He didn't have red hair. I mean, since you wanted to cut right to it, I would just assume until that came up in the story naturally, like that he had red hair maybe.
like some of the theories, they say that it could be that he wore a red bandana all the time. Some people say that he maybe had red hair. It doesn't look like any of the. I mean, I don't know. Any of them could be. I think maybe they just called him Red because his name was Rafael, and they just called him Red because. It's really tough to say. But there's no logical explanation. There's a handful of ideas, but none of them are confirmed.
What I thought when I saw it is that he got caught red-handed.
It will never be discovered. It hasn't
It'll
been
go down
discovered
in
yet.
folklore.
We're not going to figure it out today either.
Know.
So, Rafael Lopez was born in Mexico around 1886. Both his father and his uncle would eventually become generals in Pancho Villa's army, so he came from a fairly militant background. As a kid, he was sent to New Mexico with his younger brother to work in the mines. While in New Mexico, working the mines, in addition to becoming a talented miner, he also became an elite horse rider and marksman. And by the early 1910s, he is said to have sometimes joined in traveling Wild West troops, including traveling with Buffalo Bill Cody's Wild West show. Apparently, when he'd do the Wild West shows, his specialty was horseback marksmanship. So he was a great rider and a great shot, and he was a good combination of both.
And I've seen films of those dudes, what they would do in that same show. You ride the horse and you pull the rein and you stand up on the back of the horse and you shoot the rifle.
Okay.
And you're accurate as far. Like, I mean, we can all hit something with a rifle. But not I don't even know if
Standing on a
JBone
fucking
should be
horse.
standing up on a horse with the rein, like surfing on a horse.
I know that he shouldn't be.
Well, hey, now you guys are laying out challenges. We'll put that shit on our Instagram.
Yeah.
If a pony can hold me up and go really slow around your backyard, I'll shoot a BB gun off of it.
We don't have a pony, but we have a German Shepherd. Will that work?
Well, yeah, there we go.
So I'm a decent shot with a rifle, but if you ever watch, like,
You're not a decent dude on a horse.
well, if you see the tactical training, like where you see like Keanu Reeves training for John Wick and shit like that, where they're moving while switching,
Or if that
switching
bus goes under
firearms
50
and
miles an hour. You never know, bro.
But like I can't even do that. Like if I'm standing still and aiming, I'm okay, but I can't even walk and draw or walk and switch pieces. So I couldn't imagine trying to do that.
Could barely walk
On
in
horseback.
tax.
Yeah.
So it looks like a circus, except for
It kind of was. It was
Oh.
like a rodeo meets a circus.
okay. I've been to a rodeo.
In the 1910s, it was still close enough to the Wild West where people remember that, but it was civilized enough where that wasn't a huge thing anymore. So it was kind of this thing where they would do that tour to bring the Wild West experience to, local communities and towns. And, this was there wasn't many theaters at all. There definitely wasn't any movie, radio and stuff like that. So when any kind of circus or fair or whatever came to town, it was a big deal. So these Wild West shows were like one of the big traveling circus things at the time. In 1912, a bunch of Greek miners who were the main force in Bingham, Utah, went on strike. So the Utah Copper Company turned to Mexican labor to keep production moving. So the more things change, the more things stay the same. Many of these Mexicans, including Red Lopez, opted to stay after the labor issues were resolved. One of the reasons it seemed like they were just making really good money. He was a really good miner. He was pretty talented. So he was making a shitload of money. So he's kind of like, well, fuck it. I'll just stay here in Utah and this will be my job. So in late 1913, he was working in Bingham, Utah. Let me see. Here's Bingham, Utah. So this was like a real, just kind of a minor.
A boom town.
Yeah, boom town. It's a late boom town. So early 1900s is kind of late to still have boom towns. But Utah was still out in the West. That wasn't a fully developed yet. So.
Some parts of Utah don't even have color TV yet.
Stop. Wait, were there Mormons there?
There were Mormons there by now,
Yeah.
for sure.
No,
Well-
ever since we called it Utah. There
Yeah,
was
the
some
Mormons helped
Latter-day
settle
Saints.
Utah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Mormons didn't just help settle Utah. The Mormons were like pioneers to the westward expansion.
A lot of Oregon Trail, the game is owed to them.
Yeah.
Like, for real. Like,
Well, thank you, Mormon.
Well, they were so big on the westward expansion. At one point, they moved way west to Missouri, and then the rest of
Wow.
America caught up, and they're like, "Fuck, man, let's go wester. Let's just keep going."
Let's go western. They're like hidden in these mountains. No one will find us here.
And spoiler alert, they still found them. They just came and fucking jumped on their Mormon community.
Maybe that's what happened. Rafael Lopez and the Mormons were like, "Oh, you caught us red-handed," and then they call him red.
I don't always go on Mormon missions, but when I do, I drink Dos Equis.
So while he's working in Bingham, Utah, on November 21st, he gets into it with a guy named Juan Valdez.
The coffee picking dude?
Not that Juan Valdez.
God
A different
damn.
Juan Valdez.
Come on, man. We're brothers in Java.
You're in the wrong line of work with a name like that, man. So they get into it. There's different stories over what it was over.
A senorita. I
The-
can almost guarantee.
The fight may have been over a woman. That's one of the common stories.
See?
But Red at some point becomes a bit of a Robin Hood figure. So some people say it was he was avenging his brother's murder. But I feel like I would have heard that his brother got murdered at some point in the story.
Yeah, somebody
if that
would
was
have for
important.
sure called
So
you.
he wasn't becoming a Robin Hood figure. He was becoming a Casanova figure. He is for the ladies.
Well, and the other thing that makes me think it was over a woman was he shot him to death coming out of the lady's house. So
In his boxers, holding his pants and shit and his hat.
Screaming, "This is over a woman!"
So either way, Red shot and killed him. But yes, I'm assuming when looking at the story, having done a bunch of research, it sounds like it was probably over a lady. So Red unloads his gun into Juan Valdez. He dies instantly. And Red panics and he flees on foot through the mountains and he hides out in a ranch near Utah Lake in the area that's now known as Saratoga Springs.
That's like a big resort too. Like there's a pampering spa and like
Not in 1913.
no, not with the likes of Red shooting up husbands coming home from a long day of work.
How dare you not let me sleep with your wife no more.
The pleasure should have been both of yours.
So immediately after the killing, Marshal John William Grant quickly puts together a posse of 4 lawmen to catch Red.
And you know this dude is serious, not because he's an early Texas Ranger or nothing like that, because it's one of them old school Western dudes that were saying all 3 names. When it's Michael Montgomery gonna fuck you up, like, oh yeah, that dude always catches up to the... He might not always bag the fucking bad guy, but he's gonna catch up to this dude.
So yeah, he puts together a posse of 4 lawmen, and since Red was on foot, they were able to track and catch up to him fairly quick.
On their horses, I hope.
Yeah. Well, and he ran through the mountains and there was snow in them,
Yeah.
so they were like,
Follow
yeah,
these footprints.
okay, we got him.
Which way did he go?
There's 2 sets of rabbit footprints and Red's fucking moccasins.
And he's in his boxers, you said.
So they're able to track him and catch up to him real quick, and they locate him at a ranch hiding out. So they're like, okay, we found him. He's hiding out at this ranch here. Let's go get him. So at 4:30 in the afternoon, they approach the ranch on horseback. Now, what they didn't know that Red was onto him the whole time they were following him.
He had made dinner at 3:30 and was already done napping. But no.
Yeah, so he was just chilling, and he knows they're following him, and he's just bringing them to where he wants them to go. So they're like, oh, he's in his house. So they just start riding up to the house like a bunch of fucking dummy lawmen.
You know, Rambo in there, fucking the Southwest Rambo just has him right where he wants him.
He was watching them come into the clearing, hitting in a ditch at a distance that the Salt Lake Tribune later reported as 118 yards.
And he's a trick shot artist, and he can like shoot out of a helicopter and off a horse and da-da-da and da-da-da. So, yeah, easy pickings.
Yeah.
Because it's a 4-man posse coming at him.
Right, so the whole time they're like, man, we're going to catch him quick. This motherfucker is not very good at this. And the whole time Red's like, no, come on this way, man. I'm right over here. Oh, darn, you got me. So he opens fire with his lever action 30-06. With 3 shots, he hit Marshal John William Grant in the back, Deputy Nephi Jensen in the pelvis, and then Deputy George Whitback in his right side.
And said, I could have hit you all in a fatal spot, but I'm playing with you.
Well, they all 3 died.
Whoa.
Every shot was fatal back then.
Yeah. Well, and honestly,
they all died 4 days later. Like, mm.
the one with the one that got shot in the pelvis actually died quicker. So John William Grant, he got shot in the back, he died right away. Nephi Jensen, he got shot in the pelvis and he died like in 20 minutes.
Probably caught him right on that big femoral artery.
Right.
There, like.
Well, it probably bounced off into his guts or something. You know, like you said, back then every shot's fatal, and they couldn't get him out of there. So the other guy, George Whitback, he laid there screaming for 2 hours and died just before help showed up.
That's
So-
gross.
Deputy Julius Sorensen was the only one to survive, and that was because he got thrown from his horse during the volley. So Red starts popping off shots, and they start falling. He gets thrown from his horse. He eventually jumps up and tries to start shooting back. And by then, Red Lopez already bounced out on foot again.
He got lucky for his horse being a pussy.
Right, the horse is like, fuck you. So he's the one that said the guy screamed for 2 hours because he was there, right?
Yeah. So he stayed there trying to take care of them.
That makes
sense. And then by the time help showed up, like I said, the one guy died after 20 minutes. The other guy screamed for 2 hours and died just in time for help to get there.
Shit.
So Red doubled back towards Bingham. At some point, he stopped at one of his buddy's house, grabbing a Winchester 30-30. And so one of the reasons they said that the 4th deputy survived is they said it might have been a misfire from a bullet. It might have been a jam. I think it was probably a jam, or it could have been a misfire bullet that damaged the gun, because he originally started shooting at him with a 30-06. And then when he took out, when he went back, he picked up a new rifle and he grabbed a Winchester 30-30. So something might have happened that damaged his gun. In addition to his pussy ass horse, it might have just been a little natural luck there too. But either way, Red doubles back towards Bingham. He picks up a new Winchester 30-30, and he goes and hides out in the mini silver mine that he was familiar with. So after word gets out about the shooting, another posse was formed. This time it was over 200 men, including both lawmen and armed civilians. Now, this is one of the reasons that Red became like kind of a Robin Hood figure, because once the word gets out that this happened, they put this posse together of 200 men, but they just start rounding up like random Mexicans and arresting them for vagrancy and just, typical America shit.
That part of his story, of Red's story, very much mirrors the whole Pancho Villa thing.
Well, right. So all the Mexicans supported him because they're like, what the fuck did we do? And they're like, shut up. And, they're just arresting them and shit. Like, we're pissed at this one Mexican and we can't fucking catch him. So we're going to arrest and beat fucking every Mexican we can find.
I got a plan. Let's eradicate Mexicanism. That's how, that's the kind of shit they were on back then.
So yeah, this new posse includes both lawmen and armed civilians. And they eventually track him to the mine, and they surround it, posting men at all the entrances and exits.
How would they find him there?
I don't know. They just
it's a whole state of mountains.
There's probably still snow on the ground.
They followed his footprints.
Well, I mean, look, it's back in the day. It's Utah. You can only go so many places. You know what I mean?
There's no Salt Lake City. The Jazz aren't playing the Pistons this weekend. Like, it's
right. No one's just not gonna go hang out in the mountains. Just die.
So yeah, they track him to the mine. They post men at all the entrances and exits. And after 7 days, they decide to go with.
Hope Red had a lunch in there. Damn.
Well, they decide to go with the George W. plan. They're gonna smoke him out. Yeah.
This is the Rambo plan. Remember, they shoot the rocket in there, and then he survives the explosion and fucks him up. So go on with this story. This is getting great.
Now you know where that movie plot came from.
Yeah, exactly.
But wait, they waited 7 days before they were like, let's smoke him out.
Well, yeah, because they figured, well, look, we got this mine surrounded. We got every exit and every entrance covered. He's got to come out. And so they're waiting there for a fucking week, and he don't come out. And they're like, fuck, we got to do something.
And they're cooking right at the door of the mine, right. Bacon and eggs. So
you smell these tacos?
Come on, Ed. You smell them? You come get your last meal. We're going to execute your ass, but you come get this last meal.
You took our jobs.
After 7 days, you would think, maybe he's not in there. Right?
Turns out, William McCutchinson McGunther went around back. There's a back door. He went out that. 4 days ago. We've been camping up front for nothing.
Look, are you sure there wasn't an entrance at the top of the mountain?
So on the 8th day, deputies James D. Halsey and Vaso Mandarick entered the mine to light a fire to smoke them out of the tunnels. So their plan was they had one of the big mine carts. So they're going to fill that up full of shit, light it on fire.
Donkey Kong?
They probably should have filled it up with some shit.
We went Donkey Kong?
Right, and just pushed it in there.
Right,
like, Kong Country?
Just roll some barrels in there. He'll come out.
Wow.
Yes, Tone, that would have been a much smarter idea to have just done. Instead, they decide that they're going to light this mining cart from inside the mine and shove it in there further.
Oops, it was full of methane. They blew themselves up. Like MacGruber. No.
So Red ambushed both the officers, shooting them both with his 30-30 and killed them both.
So he was right there waiting.
For 8 days, girl. He was laying right there like...
At the entrance, like, there they are with the fire. Get him.
So now they lose their shit, and they're like, God damn it. Like, he was in there for fucking 8 days. He was just waiting there?
Out of the 200, maybe we shouldn't have sent our 2 best men in there to the sharpshooting fucking exhibitionist fucking great Red.
Well, so that's one thing I did want to say is they didn't. They sent 2 new deputies. One was so young, he was like still a bachelor and stuff. He was like newly deputized. So they're like, hey, new guys, go get them.
Hey, FNGs, get your asses in there.
Hutch, you know you turn 18 tomorrow. You're about to become a man today, though.
Why I gotta be the one to go in there?
Just take this mine cart, light a bunch of shit, and you're gonna throw a fireball at him. Like, what? What kind of fucking plan did you send them kids in there with anyway? Like,
Oh, you can't.
yeah.
Can't we just light this here and shove it down there or something?
There's 200 of us. Why don't we all light a fucking torch then, and let's go in there and throw our torches? If that doesn't make a big fire, boy, we want the mine intact. That's my silver.
Why not some dynamite? No.
Well, so that's what they go to next. Now they use dynamite
Knock
to
it
fucking
off.
blow the entrances.
This is Rambo.
This is where Rambo got
Yeah.
the story from.
These mother. Oh, I wish a dirt bike had been invented, because if he come out there on a wheelie, like we got the whole fucking movie.
Yeah, he came out on one of those fucking mining carts.
Yeah, exactly. With a reverse fireball and threw it at them.
On the 8th day, he built a motorcycle.
No, he comes out with an Iron Man suit.
Tony Stark built this in a cave.
Tony Lopez.
I am Antonio Stark.
He comes out on standing on a fucking cart, firing off his rifle like fucking Buffalo Bill's Wild West show and shit. You guys fucked with the wrong one today, man.
Instead of lasers, he's fucking hurling fucking rhinestones at people.
Rhinestones. Hell no, you're an asshole.
At some point, I feel like at some point the deputies were kind of like, "Hey, did any of you guys even like this fucking Juan Valdez guy? What are we even doing here, man?
Right.
We sure got in a lot of trouble over this shit. We should have probably just let him be. He was really fucking good."
Plus, he's in there taking all our silver.
Right? Yeah, you know he's not lazy. He's a great fucking miner. He's just in there
Right.
stacking chips all by
He's
himself.
just shooting at y'all between breaks. It's his hobby.
So yeah, they use dynamite to seal them in. They try blowing smoke through the tunnels. They try and do everything they can. Multiple reports of sightings keep the operation going for over a month.
This is a stakeout, like
month.
Waco, Texas. Like, none of that took this
A
long.
month.
These were big standoffs, you know, but like Ruby Ridge, you know, all that. That was like 4 days to a week,
Wait,
you know.
what
Like, a
is-
month?
What is he eating, really?
What are they eating, though? There's no, like, they have to have, like, a back then supply train. Like, there's 200 men. They didn't take a prairie schooner full of, like, sides of beef and shit like that, you know? Like,
Yeah, and it's not the military. We don't have logistics to fucking supply these people with food. So
see
I
that
don't know
little
what the fuck
boom
they're
town? Like, that would support, like, the 25 workers there. There's not a restaurant that we could take 200 cats to right there. You know,
Yeah.
like, if we went to see the Michigan game or something, like, we can't take 200 people anywhere comfortable in modern times. Like, back then when shit don't exist.
What year is it? There's telephone poles.
About 1913 to 14 right now.
So this is 1913, but those wouldn't be telephone poles. Those would be telegraphs.
Beep, 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 beep.
Yeah, so you can send wires and shit.
Where telephones came from.
Okay.
Pre-fucking phone.
Phone without the talk. You just did it all in Morse code. Beep, 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 beep. We got a Mexican in my mind. Beep, 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 beep. We'll blow up the whole fucking mine and just get them out of there. Like,
There's a
well, we seem to have locked them in.
there's a grandma on the line. Did he eat dinner? Send a card in with some food.
Well, we're gonna send a card in, Granny.
So eventually, we get to January 1914. So this originally started November 21st, right? So now we're in January of 1914, and they're like, well, if he's still alive, he's got to be weak and starving and shit.
Cold as shit.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know, would he find some wood or something in there and fucking light his own fire? Or did he
He
just
had a
kept
whole
that,
cart
he
of
kept
fire.
that whole cart? He was like, thanks. It was getting pretty cold. up
Oh,
in
maybe he
here."
took the dude's clothes that he killed.
Yeah.
Eventually, they're like, all right, let's fire this mine back up. Let's open it up. Let's go in there and fucking get this motherfucker out. If you know, he can't be doing well. Let's go get him now.
He can't kill all of us. New guys in the front.
So they go through there, they sweep the mine, and Red Lopez is nowhere to be found.
This motherfucker G.
How did he get
He was
out?
hiding by the front door, and when the 200th guy passed him up, he ran out the front door. And walked from Utah to fucking back to
No,
Arkansas.
see, he did dress like one of those guys. He's like, the other one got killed and walked right
He's in,
past
Right, he
him.
took his
He's in
clothes.
with the Mexican Americans looking for himself. Where is this red?
He's sitting out.
Donde es the red? Where's red?
I think I seen him over there.
I think he went that way.
So, Red Lopez's Utah crimes would remain unsolved by Utah law enforcement for 90 years.
90 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, because they never found him. So he left the fucking... They go through the mine. He's not in the mine anywhere, and they can't fucking find him.
This is the last they've seen of him?
Well, this is the last they seen him.
Yeah.
They're
Okay.
still sitting out the entrance outside
Yeah,
the
but now we
exits.
went from Rambo to DB Cooper. Like, this is fucking wild.
These
It's the
motherfuckers are
Wild
like,
West,
Where the
J-Bone.
fuck is he?
Where is Red?
He's gone. Now, a lot of it said where they really fucked up was by going in and arresting and beating the Mexican community. Once they found out he was in his mine, that's who all worked in the mine and knew it inside and out. So they were able to sneak them in and out food and then finally eventually help escape. So while they're all just at the main
Oh.
entrances and shit.
When
Like-
they already had that Pancho Villa kind of folklore going, like the people were, like you said earlier, Robin Hood-esque, like, yeah, let's get behind him.
He's
like,
the people's criminal.
Exactly.
So yeah, most people suspect that because all the local law enforcement and white people had pissed off the Mexican community so bad that they kind of banded together and figured out ways to help them out, sneak them food, and eventually help them find some way to get out of the mine.
Fucking dummies.
But either way, all they know is they fucking stake it out for over a month and then they finally go in. And this motherfucker's nowhere to be found.
He's living it up in Cancun on your silver, asshole.
And they're idiots. They didn't even think that. Like, hey, we piss off all these Mexican guys.
No,
They
they were
might
so
help 'em.
fucking scared.
And like
Yeah.
Lorraine said, like he was the people's criminal. And all the gringo asshole police officers were candy asses. See.
The November 21st shootout was the deadliest in the history of Utah law enforcement. So even to this day, that's the deadliest law enforcement shootout in Utah history. So we're going to take a quick smoke break, refill our drinks, and we'll be back in a minute.
Dear mama, these amateur cannibals crave power. Grave robbers, murder for favor from fake fathers. Disorder in the chapel with shackles to break out of. They cower, solo but mob 'em and they crowd us. Spilling in the street with heat like hot lava. Pop bottles, molotovs tossed and rocks follow. Ominous disciples like vipers, they strike quickly. Come at me like an army, I'm tearing you down with me. Spit like a baron, rulers of bread like Kaiser. Roll with the goal and get beaten like outsiders. These amateur animals swing in the wrong jungle. Climbing the wrong vines mean these lions will snuff you. Concrete wilderness building our own structures. Writing our own order, appointing our own judges. Overthrowing authority, morally lack conscience. Fighting for survival with rivals with throat punches. Dear mama, these amateur cannibals crave saviors. Poor savages ravage for animal bits. They just monitor the area carrying curved swords. Slither in the brush till we crush them with brute force. Men storming the harbor with armored attack armaments. Calling all guards to swarm them and skin their faces for ornaments. Order more troops to corner them, Agent Orange and mortar them. Kill them all, just destroy them and let your guy get to sorting them. Court of honor corroded as soon as it was awarded. Celebrations were thwarted before they could be supported. Rolling thunder bombarded them, flaming dart put a part in them. Separate and disarm them and send the bulls to the parliament. Operation Niagara, Viet Cong on the battle with landmines and grenades and flamethrowers to scatter them. Dear mama, this battle is harder than what we thought it'd be. Every part of me scarred, I'll be recognized when they mortar me. It's almost time to run, put on your army helmets now. You're running toward the sun with all your guns defenses down. Flashes everywhere, the lights create an atmosphere. Water in your lungs, you pray for death, but life is here. You're about to die, face it, you're about to die. Zero sand in your glass, fuck it, you can't even cry. Put a dagger to your neck, just to keep yourself in check. Put a dagger to your neck, just to keep yourself in check. Everybody grab a side as you fight to stay alive. Dancing on a hand grenade so you can die and they survive. Silver bullets in the sky, dropping 7-second death. Scattering the children, run, rub until there's nothing left. Ashes in the water, sons and daughters holding flags up high. Wallow in the harbor as the military tanks arrive. Penetrate the border with disorder like an animal. Every war has the honor of turning kings into cannibals. Cannibal kids wanna be king. Round heads. 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 Cannibal kids wanna be king. Round heads.
All right, we're back.
And drunk.
So we just sent the lovely and talented Lorraine Mclain up to mix us up some drinks, and it's kind of like my original drinking crew, like kind of like in life, not even on the show. like just as a person on this earth is me, Tone, and JBone. So this is why we're so fucking goofy, because we've been at this for about 20 years of like this, exactly. Shit, more than 20 years.
Yeah, if you're counting just you and J-Bone.
Yeah.
Shit.
I don't always get drunk, but when I do it with you guys.
Yeah, so me and J-Bone would be at about 3 decades. You know, Tone came in at about 2.5, but...
They picked me up when I was like 16 or something, you know.
Bad influence.
Great influence. He knew we would help him find a cure for sobriety.
So I was doing some research for a guy that we're going to be covering in the future, and at one point he was already running a crew, and he picked up this dude, and he was a hotshot gangster, but he was 16 years old, and at first I was like, what the fuck? And then I was like, oh yeah, so he's like their Tone. He's like, oh no,
He was their young gun.
you want to roll with us, man? I'm only 16. We're pretty stupid. It's cool. Well, and as of now, we're midway through December, so we're almost done with season 2, and we had the old fashions in season 1, so I figured it's only fitting we got to at least have an old fashioned episode in season 2. So, what do you guys think? I mean, I know we've had them before. I know you guys have had old fashions. You've had Lorraine's old fashions. We had them on the show.
They're new cherries. They're Traverse City cherries.
Yeah, we did use Traverse City tart cherries.
That was in that other beer you had. Right?
Yeah. And by we meant I said, yeah, that sounds good. And she bought them, made them, did everything else.
Like, they come in a jar or something?
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
They're by the liquor, like where you get like margarita salt or lime juice, all the mixers.
They're like that.
Maraschino
There
cherries.
you go, yep.
They didn't even have those in that section. They were,
Well, thank
they were
God,
the
because you
Lux-
got some Michigan tarts, some
the
Traverse City
Luxardo.
Prides.
I guess they had a cheap brand, but
Oh, who wants them 89-cent fucking fake cherries when you live in Michigan if you don't want these tart fucking... People come from all over the world. It's not just big here. It's like Maine's blueberries or Idaho's potatoes or whatever the fucks.
oh,
Yeah, we've covered it on here before, but you know, it's for some people this is their first episode. But yeah, Traverse City, Michigan is the world capital, cherry capital of the world.
That's where the Red Wings hold their training camp.
So when we left off, Red had fled a Utah mine, basically leaving them in a stupor. It's unsolved crime for 90 years. Biggest
90
shootout to
years.
this day. They had no clue what's going on. They're just like, well, fuck.
JFK assassination all over. Like,
I guess
we're going to
lost
start
them.
releasing documents of Red now because it's no longer national security at risk here.
What they don't know in Utah is after managing to escape the mine, Red fled to Texas, where he started a gang of outlaws, where they spent their whole time robbing banks, trains, stagecoaches, anything they could, up and down both sides of the Rio Grande. And they basically stayed on the Rio Grande because that was the travel route. Everybody else would have to kind of go up and down.
Stagecoaches, everything passed that up.
Yeah, settlements, everything popped up around water, and it's Texas a long time ago, so they, if they got in trouble, they just jump to the other side.
You
of the
could
Rio
walk
Grande
across
and
that
then
river
go back
even
up,
today.
and then
You
some-
see them old movies where the cowboys ride their horse across a small river? That's usually the Rio Grande.
yeah, they literally go down that bitch robbing shit, and then at some point just find a spot, cross over, and then just go back up robbing the other side.
Nice.
He spent basically most of 1914 just robbing stuff.
Right up and down the Rio Grande.
Really, for a whole year. Yeah, what have you been doing? Robbing shit. Or is that Tyler the Creator clip? Like, what have you been doing? Been doing bad shit. Who would have thought Red Lopez and Tyler the Creator? Same fucking dude.
So was he giving it to the poor? Because he was Robin Hood, you
No.
said? You said he was Robin Hood.
No, I'm saying some people thought he was like a
Oh.
Robin Hood. Look, ultimately Robin Hood probably wasn't Robin Hood.
Right.
I mean, was Al Capone Robin Hood? He was like a Robin Hood. Why? Because he opened a soup kitchen. He opened a soup kitchen because he was getting bad publicity because of the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. So he's trying to get people's on his side. I mean, I'm not saying he's a terrible dude, but these guys are ultimately they're criminals because they're
He's
them
for himself.
first.
Red did what he had to do.
Yeah.
You always got to bring up old shit.
In 1915 and 1916, Red Lopez joined his father and his uncle fighting for Pancho Villa's army in the Mexican Revolution.
So he's in Mexico now?
Well, they fought a lot of that. Eventually, they moved their way over here too. So
Arizona
they're-
and Texas,
yeah,
a lot of that was
they did a
fought.
lot
They were
of-
trying to take it back. They
Lot-
wanted
yeah.
all the way back to California. They went Nevada, all that was theirs.
We'll get into that a little bit, but yeah, so they started working on this side too, but at first the American government was sending them guns and support and stuff like that. And that's a shocker. And then eventually that changed, and then Pancho Villa became mad, and then now he's like a fucking terrorist, and they're like, and we hate him. And in the meantime, he's mad. He's like, now we're losing. Basically, what happened was Pancho Villa started losing the revolution, and America decided, well, yeah, we were backing him, but ultimately we're better off if this shit stops. So this guy's the president, so we're just gonna back him just because we just want this all to be over with and shit. So he goes and fights with Pancho Villa's army for a couple years. So there's a couple inaccurate incidents attributed to him. So in 1914, this is a story that people tell. So if you look up Red Lopez, this will be one of the first stories you hear. Is that in 1914, near the international border, him and his men derailed a train, robbed it, and killed 19 of the 20 American passengers on board. So there's actually nothing to support that. There was a robbery like in that area where they did like derailing trains was a big thing they do at the time. They just smacked the fucking train, the tracks out wider, and when they'd hit that spot around a curve or something, they pop off the fucking rail and they'd be stuck and they could go on there. There was an incident where like 4 or 5 Americans got killed. There's really no evidence they did something like that. But he might have been involved. On January 11th, 1916, his uncle Pablo Lopez is credited with an incident where 16 American employees of the American Smelting and Refining Company were moved from a train near Santa Isabel, Chihuahua, and they were all stripped and executed.
Oh.
So he might have been there. We don't know for sure. He definitely didn't do it as a criminal. He might have did it as a soldier, which would still make him a criminal. It's a criminal act, but that's actually attributed to Pablo Lopez because he was like the general of that group. But this incident's now known as the Santa Isabel Massacre.
77 Americans killed by Mexicans.
Will you support me in rounding them up?
So that's actually 17. This cut it off a little bit.
Okay.
But like
Same damn thing, though, Big Tone. Same damn thing.
Looks exaggerated a little bit.
sometimes these old timey fucking newspaper articles are so fucking inappropriate.
Right.
So between the Santa Isabel Massacre and then there was another incident where Pancho Villa sent some of his guerrillas into Columbus, New Mexico, and they attacked like a cavalry unit, American cavalry unit there. It seems like probably what they were trying to do was they needed to restock. They'd been getting their equipment.
Supplies, yeah.
Yeah, they'd been stocking up supplies from the Americans who'd been supplying them with most of their stuff, and now they weren't, and they needed more stuff. So they were like, well, there's a small little detachment. We could jump them and kind of kick their ass real quick. You know what I mean? I know they grabbed like 100 horses and 20 mules. They grabbed some guns. So they grabbed whatever they could from there. And then now you had the Santa Isabel Massacre, and then you had them attack an American military group in Columbus, New Mexico. Between these issues, that kind of prompts America to activate troops and send them down south. And Pancho Villa was a pretty scrappy dude. He was a guerrilla, but he had like, by this point, he had mostly lost the revolution, and he had like the small group of between 100 to 500 men, so he didn't have a lot that he was working with. And, the Americans just sent down a huge military unit, like 2,000 guys. And they end up pushing them back into Chihuahua. So Pancho Villa would still fight on until like 1923. So he's got like 7 years of fight left in him. But he was mostly just stuck in like northern Mexico. Once America kind of sent him back over the border, they weren't too worried about... They actually did send troops in to try and get him. They couldn't get him once they were in Mexico. They could stop him from attacking America more, but they couldn't catch him in Mexico. And eventually they let him go. But if you thought this headline was bad, check out this political cartoon.
The dude from Monopoly is chasing fucking Speedy Gonzales.
Is that the Mexican border wall?
Yeah, so this was after the fucking attack on Columbus, New Mexico. This is by a dude, hold on, what's his name? I think it was Jerry Maxwell.
It says, I've had about enough of this. Why is he way bigger?
What's he holding? I mean, I see the gun, but what's the other thing?
I think it's a torch.
A torch?
Yeah. Well, because the Mexicans burn everything down, apparently.
Apparently we do.
And
I think it's a microphone.
And he's also got bare feet.
We're just savages.
Yeah, they don't even have shoes.
He looks like the old hillbilly mountaineer on Mountain Dew from back in the day. Like,
so it's ironic when
Vila on his hat.
So it's ironic when the fact that Uncle Sam is chasing a Mexican over a barbed wire fence is
saying we don't want you.
That's the least racist part. That's not even the bad part. I mean, that's not good, but the worst part is the Pancho Villa representation.
Cheech has a lit joint.
He looks like he's 3 feet tall and shit.
Right.
Like, Uncle Sam's just towering over him, knowing that.
It looks like he's chasing fucking Frodo across a fucking...
Right.
Like the old guy with the white beard is jumping a fence one-handed. I've had about enough of this.
You dang kids.
Like, no.
Yeah, he does look like he's 3 foot tall. Like, it's just...
Stop.
It's just terrible.
With hobbit feet.
And here comes nimble ass Santa Claus jumping a wire fence. Like, look out, boy, I'll get him.
Put a boot up your ass.
It's the American way, boy. Come here, I had enough of you.
Another misrepresentation of bad evidence. There's an author named Carrie Boren that said Red Lopez died in 1916 during a skirmish between American and Villa's forces. No historians agree with that. Like, he for sure didn't. But there's this one author that says, yeah, he died in 1916 fighting against America. What really happened was he was down for the war for a couple of years, but once it got kicked back over to Mexico, where they just had to stay in Mexico and fight over there, he's like, yeah, I'm not really with that. I mean, it was cool. Good luck, but I'm just going to go back to America and just rob shit up and down the river. So he returned to committing crimes with his gang in Texas, where eventually he ended up landing on the radar of the Texas Rangers, who pursue him for years. Which, the Texas Rangers are still an organization till today. They're kind of like police, special forces and shit. They have some weird saying. It's called one riot, one ranger. And basically their thing is like, even if they have a big event, if they send like a ranger in, it's like sending in a Green Beret. Their thing is like, well, one of us is worth like a bunch of you and we make your guys better. So we go with this, one riot, one ranger thing.
Like a one-man wolf pack?
Yeah. So the Texas Rangers follow him for years, and eventually they come on the radar of this guy, Commander Frank Hamer, who was, he's like the fucking Chesty Plummer of the Texas Rangers. You know what I mean? Like he's their hero.
I don't know
He's
what you
the
mean.
Elliot Ness of the Texas Rangers.
I know Elliot Ness.
Once Frank Hamer, is the commander in charge, he starts getting shit done. Well, I mean, not actually too soon, because now we get to 1921, so it still took him like another fucking 5 years to track this guy down. But eventually, he gets in a situation where he gets information from an informant that they're going to be at this certain spot at a certain time. So he takes this information and he puts together an ambush to catch Red Lopez.
He's gonna
Counter
be
the ambush artist himself.
He's gonna be in this mine for a month.
So he goes and he's taking his information and he gets to the spot and he's like, this really doesn't feel right. Like this seems like a bad spot if this goes sideways. And Frank Hamer just gets this feeling like
This informant set me up.
I don't think this doesn't seem right. You know what I mean? And this seems like a bad position. So he opts to move him and his guys away from where he told the informer they were going to be. And he moves them to like an elevated position overlooking where they were supposed to be. So he takes his group of Texas Rangers and they're now watching the spot where they're supposed to be in this like irrigation ditch. And he sees Red Lopez come in with a group of 20 dudes and they're coming in to flank their position and shit. Frank Hamer actually, he stood up and he ordered them to surrender in Spanish. And then Red Lopez turned on him and shot at him. And then all the Texas Rangers opened up on him. And they're in an elevated position and they were all lower than them.
Downhill.
Yeah. And
Easy pickings.
they ended up killing 11 of Red Lopez's gang, including Red Lopez. None of the Rangers were killed. Frank Hamer got shot in the face, like grazed in the face. Like he was okay, you know, like he had a macho scar to show, but like it wasn't like.
Was that from Red?
Well, that's what it said, but who knows? This is also his story, you know.
Yeah.
So he told him to surrender. Red busted off a shot, hit him in the face, and then they just fucking unloaded onto him. What we do know is they killed 11 of them, and none of the Texas Rangers died.
I've got the high ground, Anakin.
That's funny.
So Hamer, also in his career, he would eventually go on to lead the posse that was responsible for killing Bonnie and Clyde.
This is all around that same time?
No way.
Well, this was about... So this was in 21.
Is 29 right here.
Yeah, was it 29? Well, probably the Great Depression. I'm saying like probably 30, early 30s, so like 31 or something. So about 10 years later. You know, so within a decade of each other.
Okay.
That's that guy standing there?
No, that's just a random law enforcement guy, but that is for sure Bonnie dead in that car. And you could still go see the Bonnie and Clyde car to this day.
That car's in the museum.
Yeah, it's just riddled with bullets and shit. So basically, Frank Hamer had a style of policing. It's called ambush them and shoot the fuck out of them. But some of his guys did say, like in that in the Red Lopez, the shooting there, a lot of his guys said that if we would have stayed where we were supposed to be,
Red would have killed you. Yeah.
His hunch that something was fishy.
Well, I made a
Definitely
silly
got us
joke,
out
but
there.
that's what happened. Red sent that guy into town to be a fake informant, and they were set up in the right spot, but Hamer had a hunch. That got him out of there. If he didn't have that hunch,
They would have just been chilling when they rolled up.
there's old Red shooting fish in a barrel again. Like just pop, pop, pop.
Frank Hamer documented the incident, but the Rangers never reported it to Utah law enforcement. So that's why it remained open for 90 years. So they killed him in 1921 and they had all that information. But it was just Texas Ranger information and they were just doing their own fucking thing. After years of investigating on his own time and money, Deputy Sheriff Randy Lish of Salt Lake County confirmed that Lopez of Utah and Lopez of Texas were the same man and the case was closed.
This can't be
Good
Lopez.
work, asshole.
Lopez of Texas? No. This is Lopez of Utah we're looking for.
As in January 24th, 2003.
Good thing you got to the bottom of that.
90 years later.
Yeah. Well, and what's fucked up about that is because it's like, even if they hadn't killed him,
He would be
He's
dead,
dead.
from natural causes.
Right.
Like,
either way, he's off the books, right?
because I'm going to use my own money, time, and resources right now and tell everybody here that anybody born in 1890 is already dead. Case closed. Case closed. I just solved all the cold cases of the early 1910s.
How could you be so sure?
Utah police.
Ah.
Red Lopez was still on America's Most Wanted up to 2003.
Yeah, John Walsh. is
At
up there
large.
talking about him.
John Walsh is waiting outside that mine. Like, I know he's still...
Him and Geraldo. When we open up this vault, what are we going to find?
Well, we could finally take that poster of Red Lopez down.
Wanted.
So that's the story of Red Lopez.
So say good night to the bad guy. Go on. The last time you're gonna see a bad guy like this again, let me tell you.
So this episode was for Leo from Boise, Idaho. He set us up a couple times.
Oh.
And he's had a lot of recommendations. So we covered some of his feedback one time. He originally hit us up and said cover more Mexican bad guys, which was a legitimate request, because when he said that, I'm like, we cover all kinds of people, and I looked, and the only Mexican we had covered was Chavez.
Right.
You know, and so I'm like, well, fuck. But the problem is, a lot of the guys he requested, I looked into, and there's a reason a lot of them haven't been covered. So it's not that I don't know who these guys are, but
Just very little information.
well, no. So here's the thing: like Los Zetas, they don't have a good sense of humor, or the Sinaloa cartel. You know,
Oh,
they will chop your head off or put a fucking flaming tire around your neck and shit. You know?
yeah.
so yeah, we don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, so they don't think this shit's funny. Like they don't have a good sense of humor. And then also, you know, La M. You could just Google like the production of American Me, see how that went for, you know, Edward James Olmos and shit.
Right.
So look, they don't like to be talked about, and I appreciate and respect their, you know, desire not to be talked about. So I
You
get
don't want to be manscaped by those fellas.
But so Leo's listened for a long time, and he's actually been really patient. You know what I mean? And he keeps making requests, and it's guys that we don't keep covering. But I want to try and cover some Mexican guys, so I had to do some research. Okay, on like, you know, okay, which Mexican bad guys can we cover that won't get us decapitated? And Red Lopez seemed like a better option.
Nice.
But yeah, so all Leo's requests, those guys are on the radar, and it's something I'm going to try and do moving forward. But like I said, and that's not the only organizations where we got to be careful on who we talk about. But doing what we do, we're kind of drunk goofballs.
Right,
So I'm not trying to.
Well, and most
talk
of
about the
like
Yakuza and shit like
Right.
that.
to like
They don't think
Sinaloa
we're
and
very
them
funny.
are active right now. Like most of the gangsters and stuff for Leo that we touch on are, you know, Al Capone, Red. All these people are long since dead. The cartel, they will come put me chopped up in 10 different barrels. I don't
Wait.
want that.
I got a request for Leo.
Yeah, explain that blue football field down there, Leo, in Boise. Come on, Leo.
No.
Yeah,
You
for
hit us
real.
up a couple times.
Go to Manscaped and order with the code bad guy.
But so Leo also recommended a couple dudes that
We can do.
yeah, and we're working on it. But there's guys that have a lot of research, so I'm not
He's
trying.
like, hey, cartel won't fuck you guys up for this guy. Do him.
Well, eventually he kind of he covered some mobsters and shit. Like a lot of people want us to cover some more of these you know, like some Defcon 1 types, you know, some violent types.
Sure.
You know, and I get that. So we're working on it, and I'm taking in listener consideration. But for one, I appreciate the support, and I appreciate the feedback. So, you know, we'll try to accommodate whenever possible. So
So how about you accommodate this? I mean, you did my Mexican part. How about my Puerto Rican side now?
yeah. Well, that's another problem. Most of the Puerto Rican gangs that we could cover are still pretty up and
Pretty
running.
active.
Yeah. So we live fairly close to Southwest Detroit. Like making a podcast where we make jokes about the Latin Kings is not a great idea.
And the Puerto Rico community down there, it's huge. Like, it's almost as big as Mexican town now. There's a huge
So
Puerto Rican...
we can offer you this, Tone. We can make Cuban sandwiches next time you're here.
That sounds great.
All right.
I'll tell you.
I'll take it.
You could have put blank space sandwich.
Yeah,
Needed
yeah,
accepted
yeah.
it. Like,
You could have went bologna, but we're gonna
Reuben
have some-
sandwich,
Yeah,
club
yeah,
sandwich,
yeah.
Cuban sandwich. Like,
BLT.
Yeah.
I'm down.
so you guys haven't seen a picture. So say we were gonna cast a movie about Red Lopez.
Antonio Banderas. No. Just fucking around. Do it, Jay.
I have to pick Pitbull, but with a hairpiece.
The guy from the Dos Equis commercials.
Yeah.
Like maybe an older Red, like how like Emilio Estevez was in Young Guns when it's like the 40s, 50s when there's cars and he's like, I know what we were doing back then. If you're protecting his... that would be Red, like as fucking the most interesting man. What we were doing back then is robbing silver mines, but what we are doing now is drinking Dos Equis. But no, I honestly, like, that's a good pick for me. I was kidding around, but Pitbull, but like not
With a hairpiece.
shaved
Pitbull?
with hair.
Has he ever been in a movie?
He's been in a Bud Light commercial.
Oh.
Ale.
As
I feel
himself?
good. How about you? I feel good. How about you?
Well, I mean, we need
Mr.
more.
Worldwide?
We need more
Goddamn.
club rap fucking.
Mr.
actors.
Worldwide?
So,
Mr. International? How the fuck could you not?
so
The
here's
rest of you three don't even pick. Hey, don't show the pick. Don't these guys get a pick?
I had
Right.
no, but
Okay, I'm sticking with Tones Antonio Banderas versus my
hey,
Lorraine.
but for the
Take a
record, well,
pick.
hold on. When we're talking about gangster shit, though, like if we're talking about Desperado Antonio Banderas, he could play any Hispanic, even like a Sicilian, like hitman, like a skilled hitman of that time. Antonio Banderas would kill that shit. Like
Dude, if
we
this
know him
was
as a
the-
pretty boy actor, but
If
He
this was
crushed
to
that
play
shit.
Cats, he could play fucking Puss in Boots. Like he's that dude. He's fucking dope at all his shit.
yeah, right. Put some
But Lorraine, what?
You know, he's a comedian.
It better not be
I
Mencia.
want to say like John Leguizamo.
John Leguizamo.
Leguizamo.
I,
That's
you know
his
that
guy-
might
that's-
be a good pick.
That's
I
his
mean,
guy's cousin. That's fucking Antonio Banderas' little cousin.
because I don't know, you would think like Red, a Mexican named Red, he's probably on the lighter side. You wouldn't call it dark Mexican Red, I don't think.
It just seems like a
Just don't
goofy
make no
motherfucker.
sense.
Like, oh, I've been in here for 8 days. Just kidding, I'm right here.
Right.
I was thinking Kelly Ripa's husband, but he's not
Mark Consuelos.
he's not a really good actor though.
He's not a really good
Have
at
you
anything.
seen those fucking soap operas?
They're horrible. He's supposed to be good, but he's not.
I seen him as that cop on Friends. He was real good.
Oh,
Officer Hanson.
then it could be Carrie's husband in real life. What's that
Oh,
guy's
yeah.
name?
Fuck.
He's a better actor than Mark.
Whose husband?
Carrie Heffernan.
Leah Remini's
Leah Remini.
Leah Remini's
Oh,
husband.
Real husband.
Mexican?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But he's starred on the show a couple times.
Nice.
On what show?
King of Queens.
Oh, on
You don't
that
watch?
show.
Carrie Heffernan.
His name is Angelo Pagan.
Yeah.
So I guess it looks like
Pagan?
it looks like
Was
he's
he a
Cuban.
real pagan?
He's Cuban, I guess.
Mm.
But he was on King of Queens, and he's been on like 4 or 5 different episodes, and every time he plays a different character.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
He's like an unforgettable or a forgettable character.
Well, no, they do it under a lot. So
We didn't forget.
Doug Heffernan's wife, so Kevin James' real life wife, was also on there several times, and every time she played a different lady
She's-
too.
Really?
She's Asian.
And then there's this one comedian, that's like good friends with Kevin James. He's been on King of Queens. He's played like 14 different characters.
What?
Yeah, he'll play like the football coach, the locksmith, the.
Really?
this
How
random
do
dude.
people just not notice that shit?
Well, no, you do. They just
Oh,
don't
do
give
you?
a fuck. It's almost like an Easter egg or whatever.
I got you. Okay.
Lock notices.
Well, I watch King of Queens a lot, so I do notice it. But then I've read shit about it. So here's a picture of Red Lopez.
Oh, he looks like the guy. Well, the prison guy that plays on everything.
Oh, fuck.
Danny Trejo.
Danny Trejo.
He does look like a young Danny Trejo. He's got that mean
Sure.
scowl.
Yeah, for sure, man. He looked like a G.
He looked like you shouldn't fucking follow him into a
Right,
clearing.
exactly.
For goddamn sure.
Fucking Red Lopez.
Hey, and you look, that's like snowy ass wherever the fuck he's at too.
That's right before he went to
But
the
that
mountain.
could be like an album on a rapper's cover right
Wait.
now. That's an old ass, like from the 19-teens picture.
So that picture is 1913. So that was the same year that all this shit popped off.
How did you not have DC on here? Because he looks like DC.
I see why they didn't go into the fucking
Mine after.
mine.
Well, he's so tall. He's so tall. He don't fit in the picture. He's
Right.
my man got like a 20-inch computer screen. He
So
don't
the-
even fit on the fucking screen.
The guys that were waiting outside of the mime, they're literally like that cartoon that we saw. They were the little guys.
He's jumping over the fence.
Right.
Right, exactly, right? You know, he's Uncle
sick.
Sam and fucking
Uncle Sam Jackson.
Utah Police Department's fucking
I'm gonna
His shit says, "I'm about sick of this goddamn shit, cracker."
right.
I've had enough of this.
Crackers.
You're smoking a cigar with no hands. You fucking badass.
He looks like he wouldn't fuck with his lady. He looks like that.
Wait, did he ever have a lady?
He looks.
He killed some dude over one.
Yeah.
Oh,
It
but-
might have been
Mem-
that dude's lady either way. I don't know.
Does he have a
but
kid?
I don't know.
Lil Red?
Let's
Lil Rojo?
let's do research. See if we can find like a Lopez. See if we can find a Lopez in the Texas area,
Little
and it
Rojo.
might be him. So now we gotta do the Defcon scale. So standard Defcon scale is 5 to 1, 5 being the lowest, 1 being the highest. But in the Bad Guy podcast, there's no good guys. So 5 would be Lee Murray, who's your drug dealing, kidnapping, bank robber, and 1 would be the Purple Gang, who's got multiple gang wars, multiple massacres, and they're killing people on the street. So on a scale of Lee Murray to the Purple Gang, where would you rate Red Lopez?
I like him. He's at a 5. I probably got to say 4 because he did kill people, but
Killed a lot of people.
but I like him.
No, I was thinking a 4. Like I think Red is a really badass, but he's not like that horrible criminal that was just killing people for no reason. I mean, yeah, he killed some cops, but I mean, if you come after somebody, you know, that's the risk you take. So it's not like he was just shooting someone's grandma down the street for no fucking reason.
Me, I go all the way up towards a 2. He's not pure evil, but like the essence of the Defcon part of the bad guy, he's totally that badass type badass, and he would kill. He was a great marksman in the Wild West, shows.
I can see your point.
Oh, that, but like,
2?
so mine isn't the, like, usually a 1 or whatever is for, like he said, like the Purple Gang or Alec Baldwin, people that just kill to kill. Fucking.
You're
Like, I'm giving them the 2. I'm giving them that high up there Defcon for the imposing, like, badass aspect of the bad guy.
you're kicked off this show.
Wow. Too early, Jay. Too early.
Too
soon?
Too soon, buddy. I would be friends with this guy. Look at that picture.
I mean, he kind of looks like my older brother 20 years from now.
Stop. He does. And you
Call
wanna-
that one bro time.
Bro time.
So I was thinking like a DEFCON 3 because he did kill some people, but like you said, is most of it, I kind of land him towards the middle because I get what JBone saying in the imposingness. He was good at what he did. He fucking, when he got going, he was good at it. You know what I mean? But outside of the one killing, he killed a guy. We don't know what it was over, if it was over a girl or whatever.
What if he's right?
Well, we don't know. What if he was right? What if it didn't happen? I don't know what the fuck happened.
The guy came after him.
Right.
Well, other than his killings, other than that, were pretty much justified, like gunfights, like when it's like me or you going.
He's just better?
Right.
So-
I mean, just by looking at this picture, it looks like the guy came after Red because, yeah, Red was definitely banging someone else's girl.
He looked
No,
like
I'm just saying, like, why, like, he's touching on the reasons, like, why I gave him, like, a higher up there DEFCON. It wasn't for the pure evil, because he's such a good, like, being in the Annie Oakley, like, the Wild West shows, trick shot, riding from a horse. He could have, if he was eviler, if he was any more evil, he could have killed a lot more people. His body count could have
He
been.
probably could have took
So
out
he
the
was-
fucking, the guy that took him out.
Frank Hamer.
Frank Hamer.
Well, if that went right, if the informant, like if Hamer
didn't
didn't
have a
get a
hunch.
hunch and say, hey, let's get up on higher ground, that's how we would have lost Hamer.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, he was just trying to, there in that instance, he was trying to ambush a cop that was trying to ambush him.
So that's what I think. Like, outside of the initial one, almost all of those were while he was fleeing people that were coming at him. Posses, which we also know posse can be a lynch mob, depending on who's telling the story, right? Could be a posse, could be a lynch mob. What are you going to do? Just hand yourself over and now you're fucking getting hung in the middle of Bingham, Utah? That would fucking suck,
Wow.
right? Or serving as a soldier. Soldiers do what they're told in war scenarios. You know what I mean? So I land them around a 3. I don't really know how I'm going to score this one because this is the first time where we had...
Ooh.
I guess he's at a 4 because me and Lorraine said 4.
Yeah. So fuck you, bitches.
Yeah, but then you equate what does my 2 and his 3 equal.
Like if you do it by
4?
average. Well, but mine weighs the most.
Why?
Like honestly, yours are just suggestions.
And mine's a 2, but it's retaining water.
I don't like this podcast anymore.
So we're going to call him a Defcon 3.
Zach, this is Crystal Palace. Sync-No-Rad has declared Defcon 3. Scramble all alert aircraft. I repeat, scramble all alert aircraft.
Motherfucker. One guy said 3.
But average. If you average the 4, it's
You
right
bring
around
my
a 3.
2 up to a 3, and your guys' 2 down to a 3, and then we're all at a 3.
I'm happy with it.
Well, and I think a 3, if you look at the precedent,
That's middle of the pack, and
when you look at like Wild West kind of outlaws, kind of fall around that number typically, only because they tend to kill people because it was the fucking
part of
Wild
their life.
West.
It was part
but
of their
it's-
life.
You
But
know
a
what?
lot of them are shootouts, so it's hard to fucking.
I'm gonna be biased and change my number to a 1.
You son of a
Look
bitch.
at I almost went that way. I went up to a 2. I almost went there
A
because
1?
look at the picture.
That fits a Defcon
That
1.
dude. Now they got a posse coming after him. That picture. We're coming after him. He takes off on fucking foot. Me and my 4 homeboys.
I want to
the
know how he got out
original
that
crew.
mine.
Dude, all that shit though, but we're
That's
coming
the
after
story
him.
right there.
And us 4, we got horses. We're going to chase this one.
He's in the picture with
Dude.
2 horses.
I'm gonna assume like
But he walked off. So we got horses. Like, we're guaranteed to catch him. And as we get up to him, oh, he shot all 4 of us. Damn.
He didn't run. He
And
walked
then,
smoking
okay,
that
the next
cigar.
now my brother's going to avenge my death. He's taking 200 motherfuckers to get him. They camped out in front of a mine for a month. And then broke in the mine that they owned. Broke in their own mine and realized, oh, this motherfucker bounced. How long has he been gone? He left on day 4.
We'll
Like,
never tell.
we camped out for 28 days, me, you, and the crew for no fucking goddamn reason.
Look, you know when he killed your 2 guys? He left 5 minutes later.
You know when you sent Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr. in with the fucking push cart? He left on the cart.
On the cart.
All right. So before we go, you guys got anything?
no, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Walter Cronkite.
I was trying to swallow.
Good
this.
evening.
We broke tone.
I love the story.
I love this story. He didn't
This-
have kids? You don't know.
This and the chop it. For some reason, I don't know why, but I just
Some about these stories is just really dig. Yeah. You said does he have kids? I'm sure he had some kids.
With other people's wives.
with Juan Valdez's, whoever the fuck
that
they was
Indian
arguing over.
reservation he shacked
Wait.
up on. He got a bunch of papooses there.
All right. Well, this is Say Hello to the Bad Guy. Thanks for coming, and thanks for listening.